have 53% of poverty in Argentina.
Hi everyone, this is Matthew Kruse with the Comstock channel. I'm filling in for Marlon Bowling, who's out on vacation this week. So I'm excited. We have a new guest on our show, Paulina Lescano, if I'm saying that correctly. Paulina comes to us all the way from Argentina, and you could give a little bit more explanation about your background, but you're an agronomist and you're kind of in the central growing regions of Argentina. Is that correct?
Hi, everyone. As you said, I am an agricultural engineer specializing in grain markets. Although I don't come from a farming family, I've always been deeply interested in understanding production systems and the commercial relationships between agriculture and end consumers. And as you just said, I live in Argentina, here in the center of Argentina, in a province called La Pampa. And from here, I travel especially to give talks about grain markets. This is my work for 12 years now. Much of my work is to give that talks and workshops to help farmers and companies to navigate prices trends and adapt to global changes.
Well, very good. It's an impressive background. So you've been working in this for 12 years?
I am working since 25 years ago, but I was working mainly in different companies, but I have 12 years working independently as a consultant.
For those that aren't very familiar, and I'm going to assume that a lot of our audience maybe isn't as familiar with agriculture in Argentina, could you give us like a 3-minute or a 2-minute rundown of the highlights? Like, where are the production regions at? What is kind of the main crops grown in Argentina?
The main crops in Argentina are soybean, corn, wheat. We have sunflower seed too, but we have a high dependence. Our economy have a high dependence on agricultural sector. Imagine that maybe 60% of the dollars that came from exports came from soybean and corn, especially. So that's those are the main crops, and we used to have a high crush of the almost 90% of the soybean is crushed here in Argentina. So we export only 4 or 5 million tons of soybean, the rest as soybean meal and oil. The main productive area is in the center of the country. Maybe only 3 provinces, Santa Fe, Córdoba, and Buenos Aires, represents almost 80% of all the agricultural production.
Cordoba, Buenos Aires, and Santa Fe, I mean, that's kind of the bulk of the production region, right? And as you said, it's kind of in the center. And so that's where, a lot of the corn and soybeans and wheat is all being produced.
Exactly.
Okay. So you're kind of in the opposite part of the world, from opposite growing season from here in the United States. So where is the growing season at right now in Argentina, and how is it doing?
We are just in the planting season. In the case of soybean, we are 20% planted, expecting an increase in the area in the case of soybean. And in the case of corn, we are more advanced. We have planted almost 40% of the area expected. But, the main issue perhaps is that last year we suffered a very difficult situation with the spiroplasma, called here in Argentina chicharrita. Well, the chicharrita is an insect that make that that problem in corn crops. So last year there were a lot of areas in Argentina that lost almost all the production, all the crop production. So this year we are expecting a decline in the planted area with corn, like almost 20% from last year.
Because of this insect, they're reducing the land area 20% because of the insect.
Exactly. Yes. So we can say that we have almost a perfect start of the 24-25 crop because we are having good rains. And what is the best? We were expecting maybe 3 months earlier that we will have a La Nina weather, which is not happening. So farmers are relieved.
They're off to a good start because I know the last few years Argentinian farmers have had a rough go, haven't they? The poor yields with drought, insects, and so now it looks like they're at least, there's a long ways to go, but they're off to a good start so far this season.
Yes, that's right.
Can you talk numbers like production wise? Like where do you see the production for soybeans and corn specifically? Where do you see those falling this year?
Well, I think we can expect between 55, 56 million tons in soybean. Well, we have to wait, as you said, what happens in the summer month, of course. But maybe 55, 56 million tons. Last year we had 50 millions. And in corn, although we will have 20% less area than the previous crop, I think we can reach 50 million tons too, which is a little increase regarding the last crop.
I've seen some estimates that Brazil's corn exports might drop this next season, and Argentina's corn exports are going to increase to the point that Argentina might become the second largest corn exporter behind the United States. Have you seen that at all? Any thoughts on that?
I think we will continue to maintain the third place as corn exporters. I don't believe we could export more than United States. Maybe if United States goes in commercial war with China, maybe we have a space to increase our export. But in other way, I don't think I think we will be the third exporters.
You know, Argentina, while it's they have a strong agricultural production, they're kind of still in a distant third place behind the United States and Brazil. But one area where perhaps Argentina is going to have to compete more with the United States is in the soybean meal, because there's a lot of talk about expanding our renewable fuels here in the United States and crushing more soybeans for that. Well, that would in turn create more soybean meal, expand our soybean meal production than we've had in the past. Do you have any thoughts on that, and how that would impact things?
Yes, I think in that case, we could be, we could increase for next year. I think the numbers of the USDA, we could reach that. The USDA expect 40 million tons of crush in Argentina. So I think we could continue being having the first place. But as you said, we have to deal with you crushing at record pace, and with Brazilians having an expected crop of almost 170 million tons that they will have to crush more too. So it could be a difficult crop next year to see what happened with the soybean meal in the world.
What is the overall mentality right now of the Argentinian farmer and their level of happiness? Are they are what are they thinking going into this year? Are they hurting? Are they thinking, boy, are they doing well? I mean, where are they at right now?
I think the main level of happiness of agricultural farmers, agricultural farmers in Argentina, is that we had good rains, so the weather is a really good start, as you said, especially after like 3 crops that were a disaster. So the happiness is related to the weather, that is very good. But when you go to the economical front, we have different situations. If you think in, for example, the happiness or the level of approval of the government is related to the productive system. Farmers or producers of milk, pork, meat, poultry are in a really better conditions and situations than they were last year. But when you go to the agricultural farmers, although they continue giving support to the government, they have low margins or even negative margins because we continue having a big great tax burden, especially in agricultural sector. Just to put some numbers, we continue having export taxes. In soybean, we still have 33% of export taxes that represent $130 per ton that farmers don't see. So it's less prices for the Argentinian farmers than our neighbors in Uruguay or Brazil or Paraguay. And in the case of wheat and corn, we still have 12% of export taxes. So although they continue supporting the government, they are asking the government to eliminate those export taxes that change a lot the margins of the farmers, of course.
Yeah, that's significant. I was trying to calculate that out here quickly, and to me it comes out to like $3.50 a bushel. I know you probably don't use bushels, but it's quite a bit, $130 per ton, and that they're effectively paying in their export taxes.
Yes, exactly. So to make a conclusion of your answer, of your question, I think the agricultural or the agro sector in general continue giving support to the government, but asking that the government continue with eliminations of taxes.
That's probably not too dissimilar from the United States. I think most farmers are probably supportive of President Trump, but they are probably concerned about the tariffs and if things were to deteriorate, they might look for more support or help from the government in that regards. But inflation has historically been a major issue in Argentina, and I haven't seen it lately, but I know like last year or early in the year through the elections, like it was over 100% at one point. Has it calmed down? Where is it at there? Because that's something that if inflation gets out of control, it's hard to pull in the reins on that and to control it.
Yes, well, yes, absolutely. In Argentina, inflation is under control, and that is a big issue. That's why the agricultural sector continue giving support to the government. We had in December 23, we had a 25% inflation in December. And the interannual inflation expectation was 200, not 100, 211%. And right now, in the recent October, monthly inflation was 2.7%. A big difference between, yes, from December.
Came down to 2.7%?
Yes, 2.7 in October. So that's make the annual inflation 193 anyway is big, but month to month we are seeing how the inflation is controlled.
It's a big improvement. It maybe still sounds a lot to here in the United States. We complain if it's 2.7 or 3% for the whole year, and so you brought it down now to 2.7 for the month of October. One of the side effects of it, I mean, it causes a lot of issues, but related to farmers, I've noticed in Argentina is they don't really sell their production based on the market rallies. They sell it, they hold on to it, it seems a lot more until when they need to buy something else. Because if they sell their production and it sits there in cash, and then you have inflation going up 20 or 30% a month, well, it devalues, what they sold it for. So a lot of times they hold that production until they absolutely have to sell it. And so it's kind of an inflationary hedge. Would you agree with that? That was my experience.
And it is more complicated, even more complicated, because farmers here in Argentina, as other businessmen, have to hedge against inflation and devaluation because our peso, one thing I want to share with you is that although the inflation is under control, we are in a point that is difficult to see if the government could lower down from this level, because the monetary policy that our government is having, they have been implementing a control devaluation of 2% per month, every month, and now is controlled, and now they are trying to put it in 1%. That control devaluation is causing that our peso is very expensive in relation to the dollar and the currencies of our trading partners. So it's really a big problem. And as you said, farmers have to hedge it against dollar per ton, against inflation, and against the devaluation. So it's very difficult to see what will happen next month.
So the farmers there have to basically be currency experts on top of knowing how to produce well. So it's those are one of the good things about being a farmer in the United States that we probably take for granted, because everything is dollarized, obviously, and I know a lot of your export prices are dollarized too, and so that probably helps a little bit. But our Argentina needs those dollars, I think, to help stabilize the economy a little bit. So it seems like with the new president in the election, most people are happy with that. Would you say it seems to be? I know it's not great, but it's getting back on track then.
I think that is the feeling that it is get on track of having a better economy, or at least a normal economy. We don't have to forget that the economy is we have 53% of poverty here in Argentina. So it's a really difficult situation for all the country. But the farmers and the agricultural sector, yes, they are supporting, because they think we are going to be a normal country with this president.
Say that one more time. What level of poverty? You said 53?
Yes, it's terrible. We have 53% of poverty in Argentina.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that bad. Yeah.
It's
pretty,
really
it's
bad.
a lot higher than I would have thought. Okay. What other issues are kind of facing the Argentinian farmer right now?
Well, I think the main is the high tax burden that I told you, because it is not only the export taxes. We have a lot of taxes. And the second more important is the delayed and controlled exchange rate that I told you, because our peso is really expensive, for example, to the real or to the dollar. And so our exports are in risk because we are not competitive. And that are two main issues. The problem between the devaluation control in some way was getting better, because other problem that we had in Argentina is the difference between the official rate, exchange rate, the official peso, and the parallel peso. Last year, when we had the inflation of 25% a month, we have a difference between the official rate peso and the parallel peso, that all the economy work with the parallel in last year, of 120%, the difference between the two exchange. That make that farmers, as you said, to decide how to hedge, they sell, or they sold the grain at, for example, a peso of 1,000, and when they wanted to buy inputs, they had to pay a peso of, for example, 150. All this here in Argentina, we call this difference, we call it brecha. That brecha is going down. Last year was 120%. Now is 20% only. That is a good improvement of the economy too. So I think it has to improve a little more. And what is the businessmen are asking, not only the agro, is to eliminate the exchange rate restrictions in Argentina that make that we have difference between the different exchange rates.
I had a personal experience with that, because I remember when I've only been there once, and you had the official exchange rate at the airport, and I made the mistake of exchanging money at the airport. And you go to anywhere, I think you go to the hotel, or even the taxi driver will give you a way better exchange rate, because the money is worth more on the street than what the official exchange rate is. Like, I don't know about today, but at the time it was almost double. Like, and so then I was kicking myself because I, exchanged money at the airport, which, most people would think, well, that's a normal place to do it. But had I just gone to the taxi driver and said, what will you give me for this? He'd give you twice as much. And so it there's a definite disconnect in the exchange rate there. And so, I don't know. That's it's above my pay grade, but it makes me think that maybe that considering working with the U.S. dollar might be an answer or a solution to that problem.
Yes, well, that difference that you noticed, that was almost double, now is only 20% the difference. So
the other thing I did when I was in Buenos Aires, I took tango lessons, and it went pretty bad. So it might have caused a national security issue, because my tango was very poor. What in wrapping up here, what questions do you have for me about United States agriculture? What do Argentine farmers think of U.S. farmers? What questions do you have for me?
I think right now it's important to see if your new president will have the same policy that has in the previous presidency regarding the relation with China and the European Union, because in the previous commercial war with China, although some demand of China came to South America, prices of Chicago came down so much that our prices were affected too. So I think right now it's very important for us to know what will be the policy of Trump in the new presidency.
We want to know the answer to that too. We're all dying to know, but I think that's the expectation. I mean, nobody knows for sure, right? Trump can be unpredictable, but I think that's the expectation, that we're going to revert back to some of those policies of increasing tariffs with China. Now, I would mention that those really haven't gone away under the Biden administration. And so I think they've probably hurt our exports more than people realize, but Trump is talking about increasing them or making them worse, right? Up to as high as 60%, to the point where they might just stop buying from us altogether. And I think that's the concern, and there could be tremendous fallout for agriculture from that. So as soon as we know, we'll let you know.
Okay. we are expecting that. We are waiting that information.
Paulina, thank you very much. I appreciate you being on, and I hope your growing season goes well, but maybe not too well. So
no, we deserve a good, very well season.
That's right. You've had 3 rough years, so you're due for a good one. So you've done your part to prop up global prices, so now you need a good year.
Well, thanks for the invitation.
Futures trading involves risk. The risk of loss in trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance is not indicative of future results.